You saw it. The moment that John Cena, the man who built an empire on 3 words, tapped out. Not pinned. Not knocked unconscious. He tapped. After 2 decades of telling every kid in that arena to never give up, after surviving every monster WWE threw at him, after kicking out of everything from tombstones to F5s, John Cena looked Gunther dead in the eyes and gave up. And if you think that was just another wrestling match, you have no idea what actually went down behind those curtains. This wasn't about who had the better moveset. This wasn't about storylines. This was about something way deeper, something that's going to change WWE forever, and John Cena himself just revealed why he chose to end his legendary career in the most controversial way possible. Before we pull back the curtain on what really happened, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now because you're part of something special here at Ring Rumble, and trust me, you're going to want to see what's coming next. Drop a comment telling me if you think Cena made the right call, and stick around because what I'm about to tell you is going to make you see that match in a completely different light. December 13th, 2025. Saturday night's main event. The atmosphere in Washington, D.C. was electric because everyone knew they were witnessing history. John Cena's final match. Not his final match of the year. Not his final match of a tour. His final match. The curtain call on the greatest career in modern wrestling history. And standing across from him wasn't just any opponent. It was Gunther. The ring general. The man who decimated everyone in his path for over 600 days as Intercontinental Champion. The man who brought back the spirit of old-school European wrestling with pure brutality and technical mastery. The fans expected a war. They expected Cena to go out like a hero, maybe losing, sure, but fighting until his last breath, passing out from pain before he'd ever quit. What they got instead shattered everything they thought they knew about John Cena. That sleeper hold locked in, Cena's face turning red, the referee checking his arm, and then, the unthinkable. Tap, tap, tap. The building erupted, but not in cheers. In rage. In disbelief. In heartbreak. Parents covering their kids' eyes. Grown men sitting in stunned silence. The Superman of WWE just admitted he couldn't do it anymore. He gave up. And the internet absolutely exploded. Twitter was a war zone. Reddit threads went nuclear. Everyone asking the same question, why? Why would WWE book it this way? Why would Cena agree to this? Why destroy 20 years of storytelling in one 3-second sequence? Well, buckle up, because the answer is way more calculated than you think. Here's what you need to understand about professional wrestling that casual fans sometimes miss. There's a code, an unwritten rule that's been passed down through generations of wrestlers since the territory days. When you're on your way out, when you're hanging up your boots for good, you do one final job. You lose. You put over the next guy. You give them what's called the rub. It's not about ego. It's not about protecting your character. It's about the business. It's about making sure that the next generation has a star to carry the company forward. Hulk Hogan did it for The Rock. Shawn Michaels did it for The Undertaker. Stone Cold would have done it if his neck hadn't given out. And now, John Cena did it for Gunther. But here's the twist that makes this different from every other passing of the torch moment in history. Cena didn't just lose. He didn't just get pinned after a hard-fought battle. He tapped out. He quit. He violated the core principle of his entire character. According to multiple reports from Fightful and Wrestling Observer, sources close to the situation revealed something shocking. This wasn't Triple H's idea. This wasn't some corporate decision from Stamford. This was John Cena's call. Let that sink in. John Cena himself pushed for this finish. He wanted to tap out. He wanted to give up. He wanted his final moment to be the complete antithesis of everything he stood for. Why would he do that? Because Cena understands the wrestling business better than almost anyone alive. He knows that a feel-good ending where he wins or loses a competitive match and rides off into the sunset wouldn't create a star. It would just be another nostalgic moment that fans forget about in a month. But making Gunther the man who broke John Cena? The man who made the unmakeable Superman finally submit? That's legendary status handed on a silver platter. That's instant heat. That's money. And Cena was willing to sacrifice his own legacy moment to make it happen. Think about what Gunther got out of that 3-second tap. He's now forever the answer to a trivia question that will be asked for the next 50 years. Who made John Cena tap out in his final match? Gunther. He's the guy who essentially retired the greatest of all time. He's the final boss that even the ultimate hero couldn't beat. Every single time Gunther walks to that ring for the rest of his career, commentators will mention it. Every promo package will show it. Every future feud will reference it. Cena gave Gunther the kind of heat that money can't buy. The kind of legitimacy that takes most heels a decade to build. And he did it in one night. That's not just passing the torch. That's strapping a rocket to someone's back and launching them into the stratosphere. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. The never give up thing. For 20 years, John Cena was the embodiment of perseverance. Kids wore his shirts. Teenagers mocked him for it. Adults respected the character even if they got tired of the booking. Never give up wasn't just a catchphrase. It was a philosophy. It was marketing gold. It sold millions of dollars in merchandise. It inspired actual humans going through actual struggles. Cancer patients wore Cena gear to chemotherapy. Kids getting bullied at school found strength in his message. And WWE just took that symbol and crushed it. They had him give up. On purpose. In his last match ever. The outrage was immediate and intense, and here's the thing that was the point. Triple H and the creative team knew exactly what they were doing. They were subverting 20 years of storytelling to create a moment that would live forever. Not because it felt good, but because it felt real. See, the narrative they were telling wasn't that Cena was weak. It was that Cena was human. That even superheroes get old. That time is undefeated. That eventually, your body breaks down, and no amount of hustle, loyalty, and respect can overcome the biological reality of being 48 years old and wrestling for over 2 decades. Throughout his entire 2025 retirement tour, Cena was open about his physical condition. His shoulder was held together with tape and prayer. His neck had more surgeries than most people have birthdays. His knees sounded like a bowl of Rice Krispies every time he walked. The man was physically falling apart, and everyone knew it. So when Gunther locked in that sleeper and Cena's body just couldn't respond anymore, when his legendary willpower finally hit a wall it couldn't break through, it wasn't a betrayal of the character. It was the completion of the character's arc. The acknowledgement that even John Cena is mortal. And let's be brutally honest about what WWE was really doing here. They were creating a villain. Not just any villain. A nuclear-level, crowd-destroying, genuine heat-generating villain. In an era where fans cheer the bad guys and boo the good guys just because they can, WWE needed someone that people would legitimately hate. Someone who would generate real emotion. Real anger. And they got it. The crowd in DC didn't give Gunther the cool villain pop. They didn't chant "This is awesome." They booed him with legitimate venom. They threw trash. They screamed at him. That building had nuclear heat, and it was all directed at Gunther. WWE hadn't seen that kind of organic heel heat in years. Maybe since Brock Lesnar ended The Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30. And just like that moment, this wasn't designed to make fans happy. It was designed to make them feel something so strong they couldn't help but keep watching. Gunther is now in the same conversation as Lesnar post-streak. He's the guy who did the unthinkable. He's the villain with instant credibility. Every babyface who steps up to challenge him now has a built-in story. Can they avenge John Cena? Can they do what Cena couldn't and refuse to quit against this monster? WWE just built their top heel for the next 5 years in one match. And the beautiful part? It worked because it made people genuinely angry. Not go away heat. Not change the channel heat. But I need to see this guy get his comeuppance heat. That's the holy grail of wrestling storytelling, and Cena gift-wrapped it for them. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Multiple backstage reports indicate that Cena was the architect of his own demise. He didn't just suggest tapping out. He insisted on it. He wanted to go out on his shield, as they say in the business. He wanted his final contribution to WWE to be creating the next monster heel. And that tells you everything you need to know about John Cena the person versus John Cena the character. The character never gives up. The person understands that sometimes the greatest act of strength is knowing when to step aside and let someone else carry the load. Cena could have easily politicked for a win. He could have demanded a competitive loss via pinfall. He has enough stroke in that company to get whatever finish he wanted. But instead, he chose the finish that would help the business the most, even if it meant sacrificing his own moment. That's the mark of a true professional. That's the mark of someone who genuinely loves this industry more than their own ego. And honestly, that's why John Cena will always be remembered as one of the greatest, regardless of how his final match ended. Because he understood that his legacy was already cemented. Nothing Gunther did to him in that ring could take away his 16 world titles, his WrestleMania moments, his connection with millions of fans worldwide. But what Cena could do was use his final moment to create something bigger than himself. To build a star that could main event WrestleManias for the next decade. To prove that even in defeat, even in submission, he was still putting the business first. The match itself was booked to emphasize the physical breakdown. Gunther worked over Cena's surgically repaired shoulder. Every slam, every chop, every hold was targeting the weakest parts of a broken-down veteran. The story wasn't that Cena got outclassed technically. The story was that his body finally betrayed him. That the miles caught up. That 20-plus years of taking bumps and working hurt finally extracted their toll. When Gunther locked in that sleeper, Cena tried to fight it. You could see him struggling. But his shoulder wouldn't cooperate. His neck couldn't support the torque. His body was done, even if his mind wasn't ready to accept it. And in that moment, when he tapped, it wasn't John Cena the character giving up. It was John Cena the human being acknowledging reality. Sometimes, your body makes decisions your mind doesn't want to make. So where does this leave us? WWE has its monster heel. Gunther is now carrying the kind of heat that makes every match feel important. Every babyface that challenges him has a ready-made revenge angle. The story writes itself for years. Meanwhile, John Cena gets to walk away knowing he did what he always did, put someone else over when it mattered most. Sure, some fans will always be upset about the finish. They'll argue it betrayed the character. They'll say it ruined their childhood. But those same fans will be watching every Gunther match going forward, hoping someone finally makes him pay for what he did. And that's the point. That's the brilliance of the whole thing. In losing, Cena won. He created a villain that will draw money and maintain interest long after he's gone. He ensured that his final match would be talked about forever, not just as a feel-good moment, but as a legitimate shocking piece of wrestling history. If you're still watching, you get it. You understand that wrestling is about more than just who wins and loses. It's about creating moments that resonate. It's about building stars for tomorrow while honoring legends of yesterday. John Cena's final match accomplished both. So do yourself a favor, hit that like button if you appreciate the storytelling genius behind this decision. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know who's still arguing about whether Cena should have tapped. And drop a comment telling me who you think will be the first person to finally defeat Gunther after what he did to Cena. We're building something special here at Ring Rumble, and I want you along for the ride. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is the kind of deep dive analysis you won't get anywhere else. And trust me, we're just getting started. John Cena tapped out, but his legacy? That's never giving up.